Hey guys, it's Tanny the Canadian Stamper. I've got our color palette ready for our project for the Me Time class. So this is our project. So as I go, some of the projects are pretty straightforward, but I'll go through the contents of each kit, if you got a kit, as well as some of the measurements, especially if they're kind of unique. So let's start with the card base. So this is Lost Lagoon color, and the measurement is 4 1/4. This is 11, so it's an 8.5 sheet of paper cut lengthwise, and then scored at 5.5. And we're gonna use the paint brushes to create the background. You could use, you could use any of these for your background. So I'm gonna grab this one with a small block. And then this is our color palette all together. So I'm gonna take the Lost Lagoon, and we are going to just do a background that is random. Oh, sorry, I guess I should tell you what else is in your kit. Lost Lagoon background. You've got your easel that's cut from the dies. And then this is Inked Botanicals DSP. And then this is like a vellum DSP. And these are cut with the Country Corners dies. Bow in linen thread. And then just a scrap piece of white for your sentiment. And then this is a piece of watercolor paper, and it's gonna fit perfectly in the easel, and it measures 2 1/4 by 1 2 3 4 5/8. So it's gonna fit perfectly right like so. Okay. So let's stamp our background, and then this one, and I'll show you how to do the watercolor on the front of the watercolor paper. So Lost Lagoon, from what I understand, is a returning core color for Stampin' Up. So you can just turn your block around to get the different angles. Some people start in the middle and work their way out. We're going to cover a lot of this, so it's really the edge pieces that are most important. I've got my chamois up here, which you're going to see me cleaning off the stamps as we go. So we're finished with the Lost Lagoon, and then let's quickly stamp our sentiment. And here's our sample so you can see. I'm gonna go Life is Better When You're Crafting. And we're gonna use, I've got here, this is my piercing mat, and then this is my rubber mat underneath there. So I'm gonna grab Calypso Coral. And stamp the sentiment on the basic white. So because it's photopolymer stamps, you do want to have something with cushion underneath. Ooh, I'm gonna stamp that again because I do want to cut around, and I'm a little at the top there. I wonder if I've cut this piece big enough. Let's see. I'm gonna go on an angle. Perfect. So I'm finished with the Calypso Coral too. So we're going to take out our piece of watercolor paper. Now we're going to use two things. One is an aqua painter, and one's a black gel pen. This is not Stampin' Up. This is Glaze. I don't know where I got this from. Maybe the dollar store or Michael's. So just any black gel pen will do just fine. So we're gonna take Old Olive. Now you can, if you have the older stamp pads, you can squish it together and it gets to the top. I've added a couple of drops from my re-inker, and I'm going to just make sure my brush is wet. Get my paper wet. And then I'm gonna pick up some of the Old Olive and I'm gonna add. So there's no real rhyme or reason. I just wanted to have a little bit of like grass down here. And then I'm gonna wipe this off on my chamois. And I'm finished with my Old Olive. That went on pretty good, pretty fast. So now I've got Balmy Blue. Now, the Balmy Blue, I don't have any of the ink in here, but what you can do, even the older stink pads, ink pads work better when adding ink to the top, as far as, you know, pushing in like I'm doing. See, you can barely even tell any of it's there. Let's just see how we go. I might have to go over and get my re-inker. Let's see. Got a little bit of Balmy Blue there. Oh, I should have got my paper wet first. Let's get the paper wet. So careful when you're going into the Old Olive there. So the other thing you can do, if it doesn't, so you could put re-inker in the lid, and then if it doesn't really squish down very good, like mine is not, you could pick up, I recommend from the edges, and that'll get you more. I wonder if I should go, I'm just gonna try and zoom in. Oh no, that's zoom out. Okay, stay where I am. Okay. So if you were doing a big watercolor, I don't recommend relying on picking up ink. I don't really have a reason why I'm telling you not to do that, other than I just don't, you probably just would get better color if this was, you know, a real image that you were actually, like an actual painting that you were doing or something you were doing with watercolor. This is just, because it's just an accent piece to our overall card. But with this stamp set, you could get quite creative with adding an image to the easel, you know? I think it could be quite fun. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that. I'm finished with that one now too. And I'm gonna leave this to the side to dry. And then we're gonna use the black gel pen to create some birds. So let's cut our sentiment. Oh, where are my scissors? Oh, here they are. So I'm just gonna roughly cut. This is optional. You certainly could leave it as a rectangle, depending on the look that you want to go for. So this is sort of getting the same look as some of the other stamp sets that Stampin' Up! Has. I'm sure other companies do as well, where you can stamp your sentiment and then there's a specific die that goes around and cuts it out. So it's very similar. What is the stamp set called? Charming Sentiments. And then there's a new one out in the 2023-2024 annual catalog. I don't have that one yet. Okay, so let's set this to the side and this one to the side. My mat is dry. So let's add our pieces. So remember with vellum, where you put the glue, it's going to shine through. So I'm going to go down here with the glue. Hi, Willow. Hi, meow. We're crafting, Willow. So I'm going to glue both of these straight down onto the card base. And then I'm going to pop up. So I'm covering where my glue was on the vellum, and then I'm going to pop up the easel. So I kind of like to do it dry first. So you could do it like this, and I think I put that one straight as well. This one that I did is a bit on an angle, so you can see the difference. I think I might put this one on an angle. So I'm gonna grab my dimensionals, and I think I'll do 3 on the top part, and then I do want my minis, or you could cut a piece. I think I still have to cut this in half. Let's see. Yeah, it shines through a bit there. Whoops. So let's cut this. Just so that the easel is supported as much as we can. So with the small piece of watercolor, it does dry pretty quick. So we'll put this one on a bit of an angle. And then we're gonna pop up our sentiment as well. So I'm gonna take 2 large dimensionals. Whoops, this way. So you could go up here, you go down here. I think I'm gonna go down here. I'm using the straight edge of my mat here just to sort of get it a little bit straight. So linen thread, if you do my projects, you'll know how much I love my linen thread. And I'm out of dimensionals, or no, glue dots at the moment. So I have these, which are glue dots that are left over from one of the many, many kits. So I'm just taking one off, adding it to the back here. Whoops. Back of the bow, and I'm just gonna, like, you can put it wherever you like. I'm gonna put mine right in the middle. And then I'm gonna use these to just trim this up. All right, let's see how we're doing with our watercolor piece. Oh yeah, it's pretty good. So that's gonna go right on there. So let's draw our birds. So maybe just test it. Where's a scrap piece of paper? So we're just doing a little doot doot. Like that. Now the gel pen will be wet, so just be careful not to smudge. So I'm gonna add some liquid glue. I'm gonna plop this on my easel, and this one's done. My glue is getting clogged. I have to unclog that. All right, so I'm gonna tuck this in here. And that's it. So I think you could really do a lot here on this easel if you wanted to switch that out. And there's the first one done. Okay, see you in the next one.